So first question, we are talking about time management, which is one of the 4 pillars to build up the success of a student. So what is your definition of time management?
I think if I could be clear and concise about it, it's ultimately using your time effectively, or managing your time to achieve both short-term and long-term goals. I think on time management, when a lot of people think about it, especially parents who are like, how do I teach my students time management? They think of all these kinds of crazy things or maybe difficult things. It's really not that much. I think it comes down to 2 things. One is goal setting, right? Teaching our children, our students, what is important, what they hope to achieve. And really the other thing is prioritization, right? Helping us figure out, what do I need to do today? What do I need to do this academic term? What do I need to do this grade year? So a little bit going back, when we talk about goal setting, at least my team of mentors and I, what we like to work with students on is kind of figuring those things out. What's important to you academically, extracurricularly, and then kind of like maybe athletically or artistically if you fall into that realm. And then trying to help them set goals, what they want to achieve long term. Let's say they're in middle school now, but maybe in the future when they get to high school, hey, I want to be captain of the, basketball varsity team. I want to be president of this service organization. Kind of backwards planning and figuring out the steps to get them there, right? Maybe it's an academic competition, like maybe International Math Olympiad. Maybe it's a research internship, kind of like backwards planning. And when it comes to more prioritization, something that I love to help my students understand, right? Even at my age, and I'm sure it is for you, sometimes we get to do what we want to do, but sometimes we do what we have to do, right? And so for students or young viewers, I think it's important that we help them understand what falls into the bucket of duties, responsibilities, versus what is kind of my personal interest, what I want to do, right? And so duties, responsibilities are things like academic studies, house chores, making your bed, helping mom clean the house, clean the dishes, taking care of your siblings, right? We gotta allocate time to handle those things first so that we have time to pursue our own interests, sports, service clubs, extracurricular activities, music, whatever have you, spending time with friends.
How do you prioritize the tasks?
I think how I do it is also how I choose to advise students how to do it. We generally advise students on is kind of what I call a 2/3, 1/3 rule. Yes. 2/3 of the time, I allocate time to do what I have to do. 1/3 of the time, I allocate it for me.
One of the biggest problems I see with time management is distraction. So what are some common distractions for students when they focused on doing something and how to deal with that?
This is a common question that like parents approach me on, and
Yes.
I guess I find it a little bit funny because their distractions are also our distractions, right? The internet, social media, your smartphone, everything else, friends, peer pressure. A lot of the things that we experience as adults is really the same thing for students, except they're experiencing it for the first time,
Yes.
right? Being tethered to those things, like friends, I know I need to do this school assignment for my history class. Hey, but my friends just invited me to go play this, pickup basketball game. What do I do, right? It's kind of one of those instant gratification, short-term gratification versus long-term awards. And so how we coach our parents through thinking this, how do we coach our students too, is like, you have to get back to what we said, goal setting. So you gotta, again, kind of teach, impart, help our young students, viewers understand like what is important. What are you trying to achieve again this year, academically, extracurricularly, athletically, right? Maybe you can't do all those things that you used to be able to do in a physical school, but we can still tackle these things. We still need to focus on what's important between, you as a son, daughter versus me as a mom, dad. I think through that, building a plan, enforcing it, right? And kind of something that I love doing with students is kind of making it's like a contract agreement.
What's that?
A contract agreement, some people kind of find it a little bit novel, but we literally help our students and our parents draft a written contract that says, on a daily, a weekly, and a monthly basis, things that they have to do, right? So student Tommy is gonna spend 3 hours a day on his homework, right? From these hours to these hours. Student Tommy is going to invest so many hours into sports per day, per week, right? Or maybe it's a musical instrument, right? Maybe there are big goals, right? Maybe I'm playing, the violin and I have a concert at the end of the month, at the end of the term. So I put that in the contract. Same thing with chores, right? Tommy will clean his room X number of times per week. Tommy will spend time checking, his sister's homework or whatever it is, X times a week, cleaning up. So I put that all in there. And then what we do, especially nowadays, it's important to use, both kind of a rewards and penal-based system, right? You want to encourage your students to strive for more, right? So, you give them a stipend on a weekly basis, maybe. You can earn X number of, whatever amount of money if you do all these things. Or I take away from your stipend. And I feel that if you help your student understand what's important up front, and you draft this contract and you get them to understand it and agree to it, they have to sign it. And I feel that when you put something, you articulate it clearly, concisely, precisely, it helps them understand that, hey, I'm no longer a kid, I'm an adult, right? And so it makes them, it refocuses them, right? The whole distracting thing is just helping them understand, yeah, I have all these distractions, but what's important to me, right? And then as a parent, you have to hold them you have to hold them accountable. You have to treat them like an adult, like a partner.
That's right.
And that contract helps with it.
I totally agree. When I were a kid, I was a kid, I would always wanted to be an adult because I want my opinions to be heard and have a lot of responsibilities. So I think that is a totally innovative and creative way for the kids to train their time management.